What's up everyone and welcome to the Draft Dynasty channel. Today we got another hidden prospect episode. I was really surprised that a lot of people seem to like the last one, so we're gonna keep rolling with another one of these. For today's episode we got Emil Heineman, and this guy's pretty under the radar. I think he was not even on Craig Button last top 100 list, so I'm guessing it might be the first time you ever heard his name, and he doesn't even have a profile picture, so I think he qualifies as under the radar prospect. Alright, so let's take a look at his profile. So he's born November 16. He's on the older side. 6'1", 185 pounds. He's pretty strong physically. From what I can tell, I'm gonna show a clip later, but he looked like a man out there, so physically he's pretty mature. Shout out to his family. Seems like all his brother and cousin are playing hockey. Now let's watch his stats down here. And one thing that I want to show you, last year in the Super Elite League, in 27 games, only 1 goal last year. And this year, 26 goals in 29 games. Pretty crazy progression. 41 points total in 29 games. And on top of that, he also played 11 games in the SHL, getting 2 assists. So not too shabby. Went from a guy with only 1 goal in the Super Elite to playing in the SHL. And not only just playing in the SHL, let me pull up his game log. Alright, there it is. So as you can see, at first, he played on the 4th line, playing very little ice time. A couple months later, they called him back again. And he played a bit more, this time 11 and 12 minutes, but at the end of the year, look at that, 17 and a half minutes, 16 minutes, 16 minutes. So this is a very good sign when you see that the coaches are trusting him more and more and he's gaining the coach's trust. This is something when you are doing ranking, you always need to keep in mind that at the end of the day, the player is not going to have success if the coach doesn't want to play him. Also, one more thing that caught my attention is that he was playing very physical for a rookie player, and as you can see, he is ranked 12 with 18 hits in 11 games, and just below him you have Philip Broberg with the same amount of hit but in 45 games. And if we scroll down a little bit lower, you're gonna see Alexander Holt 10 hit in 35 games, and just below him Lucas Raymond only 8 hit in 33 games. So clearly he is much more physical than those high level prospects. And one last thing before we start with the clips, I just want to see where he ranks in the Super Elite Under 20 League in Sweden versus previous years. Draft eligible prospect, as always, minimum 20 game. The past 20 years, I already ranked them by point per game, and he is number 11 here, so pretty good. There's a few good names if you look around him. Andreas Johansson here, Jesper Fast, Lars Eller, really close to him, William Karlsson, Frans Nielsen. So a lot of pretty good NHL player. One thing that is noteworthy, if we look simply at the goals that he scored, he has a really high goal amount. So 26 goals in only 29 games. This is pretty high. I think the only better ratio I think would be Enze Kopitar here. Sorry, it was a little bit longer introduction, so let's start the clips. Sometimes his number is going to be a bit hard to see. When he's in the SHL, his number is 29, and when he's in the Super Elite League, it's going to be 80. Let's start with the thing I like the most about his game, and this is a pretty rare category that I picked, but for him, I was really impressed at how good he was at puck pressure. So he's someone that's super intense, he's got a good motor, pretty fast, and he's physical as well. So everything that is along the board, winning battle, finishing his hit, creating turnover, making space for his line mates. He's someone that's relentless in his puck pursuit. So whenever he is the F1, he's a really annoying player to play against because he's always in your face. He also has a really long stick, long reach, so he can poke check you from far away, can break up plays. So I see a lot of upside for him defensively as well, just the way he plays. I think if he focus on defense, he could be really good at it. For this clip, I think I'm going to show you the whole shift. So he's number 29. This is in the SHL against men's, and just look how well he's positioned, how relentless he is at putting pressure on the D, finishing his hit behind the net, moving his feet all shift long, very strong on the board. I mean, this is just a very rare combination of skills. He brings a very interesting package that is hard to find, and he reminds me a little bit of Podkolzin from last year. Good intensity, strong physically, they're reliable defensively, they win their battle along the board, but they also have offense, plenty of offense to come with. So I see those guys as very versatile and low risk, because it's a 2-for-1 with them. Either they're gonna make it offensively, or either they're gonna pan out defensively. They could be elite shutdown player, and also you have a slim chance that they become good both offensively and defensively, and if this happens, you just hit the ball out of the park. Another thing that I like with those type of players is that they're very versatile. They're a little Swiss knife. You can either play them with skills player on your top 2 line, or they're also going to fit well on your bottom 6, so 3rd line, 4th line, penalty killing, stuff like that. So this makes the transition way easier for player like that because you can integrate them slowly on your bottom 6 compared to, let's say, more offensive-minded players, smaller players that are not super reliable at 5-on-5. It's hard to justify putting them on your 4th line. So for all those reasons, I would say that Emil Heineman is a very high floor player. He's a pretty safe one. And as far as the ceiling, it's a bit hard to say, but you gotta keep in mind this guy in a 6-7 month, he went from playing on the 4th line in the Sweden Super Elite League to playing 16-17 minutes in the SHL. So clearly he is on a pretty sick progression right now. If he keep this, let's say he progress at that level next year, the year after that, I mean, he's gonna be in the NHL. Let's transition to a different category. So I already said a few times that he was pretty strong physically, and you will see he is not scared to throw his body around. He finished a few good hits, especially in the SHL. For some reason, I think he was more physical versus men than he was in junior. Maybe he was trying to prove his point that he was ready for the big leagues. One of the reasons why I decided to do this episode on Emil Heineman, if you haven't seen the first one on Eden Gem, I did it on Dmitry Ovchnikov, and both of those guys are two completely different players. So Dmitry Ovchnikov is more of a high-end offensive player, but he is very far away from being the final product, so he's like 3-4 years away, and he's more pure offense, while Emil Heineman is more of a complete player, and he's closer to the NHL level. Alright, so let's get down to the sexy stuff. Everyone loves some goals, and I'm going to show you some of the goals that I got during the 10 games that I've watched, and a few of those are the result of him having a good shot. He also scored a few one on the face-off. They have a nice little set play where he crossed the zone, and they're using his one-timer ability, and he scored a few goals like that. But overall, he's someone that offensively I think is going to produce more goals than assists. He's not a bad playmaker, but he's more of a shooter, I would say. And for his shot, it's slightly above average. It's nothing elite. He does have a good shot. I think he's using well the flex of his stick, so there's a lot of whip in his shot. On top of that, his shot is pretty accurate, and I would say his release is fairly quick, but I don't project him to be a very good goal scorer in the NHL, maybe 20 goal at best. If he goes above that, I think there's going to be a lot of garbage goal in there and maybe deflection. It's possible that he reach above 20 goal, but I would say 20 is a safe bet around that, maybe 15-20 goal.
Und Schweden läuft an und macht ein schönes Tor.
This is a good example of his puck pressure, and I think he got a little bit lucky. The puck touched the ref, but still, I think even at the next level, he's going to be able to produce offensively just based on his good puck pressure. This, I think, was one of my favorite clips. So he's the one at the top of the zone near the defenseman. He's going to realize his D need help, so he's going to drop down, and this is why I think he's got some good defensive potential, because his positioning is good, and he can make good read, and he's going to proceed to do a really nice backhand pass. Get out from there, use his good skating, and finish with a beautiful goal. And this doesn't get any better than this. This is a complete 200-foot play. Speaking of good 200-foot play, let's move to the defensive side of the game where I said he has a lot of upside. And to be honest, I don't even know if he realized how good of a defensive player he could be. Player at that age, sometimes they don't even start thinking playing defense. But he's someone that if he put the time with coaches, he has all the tools, everything is in place for him to be a really good player defensively. The team he was playing in the Super Elite was extremely solid. I think they only lost 2 games in regulation time, and they only gave 38 goals in 27 games. So the game I've watched, I don't think he got scored once at 5-on-5 for all the game I've watched. And also another thing that I forgot to say that I have in my note is I think he might be a player that benefit playing on a smaller ice, because if you look at everything that he's good at, strong physically, good on the board, good at putting pressure on the other player, but also most importantly is board battle, so protecting the puck along the board, playing down low. This is all things that he is excellent at. So if you reduce the size of the ice, it's gonna play into his strength, I think, and for that reason he's gonna be a player that I believe gonna transition easily from Europe to North American playstyle. And I cannot do a video without talking about the skating aspect. So I put it last, but I think he's a pretty good skater. I would say for sure above average skater. In a straight line especially, he is very fast. I saw him burn a few players in the SHL versus men, so he can definitely skate in a straight line. He's not the most agile player, but it's not that bad. At first I thought his skating stride was a little bit funky, a bit awkward, and I think it's because he's standing upright too much. Maybe he could bend his knees a little bit more, but in the end he still generates a lot of power. Whenever he push, he really eats the ice. He has a lot of power in his leg, I can tell, and when he push with a purpose. So he's someone with strong leg. I think in the end the result is he is fast in a straight line. Alright, so let's go with the NHL player comparison, and with him I have quite a few names that comes to mind. So I'm gonna start with a bit of an older player, Eric Cole. He was also a good straight line skater and pretty complete player. Maybe not the best vision of all time, but I think it's similar to Emil Heineman. I also have Arturi Lekonen that plays in Montreal. Very good, reliable player that coaches like. He also reminds me a little bit of Alex Killorn because he's strong on the board, kind of like him, and he could play on the top 6. And finally, if everything goes well, best case scenario, maybe Alexander Steen. Now let's transition to the last category of the video. So I said earlier if his vision was not crazy good, but still I saw him make a few hard passes. So his vision is not that bad, but I would say he's an average playmaker. This is probably the pass that he completed the most often, kind of the backdoor pass on the power play. It's not the hardest pass in the world to make, but still he had a really high percentage rate on those type of passes. As you can see, this was kind of their primary set play on the power play, the little backdoor pass and the one-timer after that from the defenseman. And this is the type of pass he was able to do consistently. Again, nothing really crazy high level, but I saw him a couple of times do maybe more complex passes. So he is sometimes able to do it, but again, not a crazy good playmaker. Now in terms of ranking and where I think he's going to be in my final list, for now I'm still unsure because there's players that I want to look back into, but I'm going to say between 25 and 40-ish for now. There's a lot of players that are close in that range, so it's not that easy. This is going to be it for this one. Again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please join the crew. We're gonna get ready for the draft together, and I'm gonna have a lot more content in the next few weeks. I have more time on my end, so if you have any question, go ahead, drop it in the comment. For the next video, I'm gonna do it on Roni Irvonen, since he was the second most favorite in the last 2 times we voted. And for the video after that, I'm thinking about doing another top 10. So I'm gonna let you decide. I'm gonna give you 3 choices, so it's gonna be either the top 10 stick handler, top 10 skater, or top 10 playmaker. So you decide. Let me know in the comment, and I think no matter what, it's gonna be fun to do for me. Anyway, enough for this one. See you on the next episode.